Hey everybody, right now there is a debate that is currently ripping the fabric of society apart. And no matter what side of the aisle you're on, chances are, if you have an opinion on this, you're going to be very emotional about it. You're not going to be coming at it from a logical line of reasoning, and it's understandable. And I think that because of that, the best way to come up with the most lucid answer here would be to approach the subject as being rooted in having a logic problem. And in order to do that, we're going to have to look at this debate mathematically. So I'm going to take you through the steps, and we're going to see if we can come to some kind of rationalization as to how to deal with this very, very emotion-laden topic. So in order to take on a logistical argument, the best possible starting point would be to establish an absolute. And I wanted to write out a very easy to understand equation to establish this absolute. And I think if you look at the equation itself, you'll see that it's impossible to dispute. So what I have written here is metalcore equals terrible. And I have X being the substitute for metalcore and Y representing terrible. So you're not really going to find a logistical reason to kind of disparage this argument, so this is going to be our starting point. So here's where this gets complicated, where another variable is added to the logic problem. Here we have added Z for modern metal. And the issue here is that it is hard for everybody to agree that modern metal equals metalcore. It's kind of split right down the aisle. And people that have any skin in the game for this are kind of rabid about their opinion on it, and they're not really listening to the other side, and that's fine. But as metalheads, our goal is to get rid of all the emotion-laden garbage that will end up being a flaw in your argument and get to the crux of the problem. So I'm going to showcase with the next part exactly why this is so hard to solve. So the difficulty that we have for this logic problem is that the variable Z is very hard to define. It is being understood by two completely different parties, one thinking that it is metalcore and the other thinking that it is not. And this understanding that we have of Z is what kind of ruins this entire equation from working. But to try to be rational about it, we have to try to get away from interpretations of things and look at things for what they are. And it is our understanding that metalcore and modern metal are the same thing. So because of that, if you go further down the logic problem here, you'll see that both X and Y and Z are the same, meaning that metalcore and modern metal are both terrible and can be discarded. And if you can solve for that, you'll see at the very bottom that modern metal equals terrible because it is metalcore. So if we get rid of all of the interpretations of things and what our rationalizations are going to be depending on whether or not we have skin in it on either side, we'll be able to come to a much more lucid understanding of the problem at hand and probably agree on a lot more things instead of being at each other's throats. So thank you for listening. I think if we approach these kind of issues with a much more logical mindset, we could probably get away with quarreling a lot less and get a little bit closer to truth. So thanks for listening.